Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to our May office hours. May is a great month for healthcare. We celebrate our nurses, it's healthcare week, and we also recognize those that work in the long-term care facility. So if you're working around those, be sure to thank them for the work that they're doing and show appreciation for the care that they provide for our loved ones and those that are in the facilities. I am Jess Stanko. I am from South Dakota Foundation for Medical Care, and we work on the South Dakota Project First Line Initiative through the CDC. CDC invented Project First Line as an initiative to provide infection control education out of the wake of COVID, really as a means to get infection control education and knowledge into the healthcare workers' grasp quickly, so they had an ability to gain the knowledge they needed in a short amount of time. One of the things that the CDC has done is put together wonderful resources that are available to you to utilize throughout your facilities or the work that you're doing, or just to gain some general knowledge. These are some of the posters that we highly utilize through South Dakota Project First Line. These are something that's utilized in our scavenger hunt that you can find on our website. You can print these out and hang them throughout your facility. Just a good reminder to change those out. Don't hang up one poster and leave it there for a year. People quit looking at it, but if you change those out, they'll tend to notice those. So in addition to the resources, there are all kinds of other activities and opportunities for learning. There's videos, there's interactive resources, things like looking at putting in an IV for a child. They call that one fidgeting Felix. Or there's scenarios like, what is wrong in this picture? And you try to pick out where the infection control risks are. Today, what we're going to talk about is we're going to feature one of those posters that I just showed you. This one is talking about germs that live on the skin and really recognizing where the risk is. Germs spread through touch, which is no surprise to any of us that work in healthcare. Something that some people don't realize, though, is that germs even grow on that healthy skin. So we're covered in germs, our skin is covered in germs, so just being real conscious of that. Germs on that skin can then be transferred to surfaces, other people, things that we touch, especially when we think about things in healthcare that we're touching, such as blood pressure cuffs or pulse oximeters, things like that, that we're really touching and taking in and out of patients' rooms, thermometers, that type of thing. Your skin, especially that what's on your hands, carries many germs and it spreads them absolutely easily. That's why we talk a lot about hand hygiene and how important it is to utilize that appropriately when you're in and out of residents and patients' rooms and throughout really any task in the healthcare facility. The last note on this one is when one's hands touch surfaces, germs can spread from those surfaces to that person and others. So just like we mentioned, that hand hygiene is a good barrier to help prevent that. Germs really spread by bypassing or breaking down the body's defenses. When you think about something like a cut, or when you're putting in an IV, something we commonly do in healthcare is draw blood, whether that's to do, like an insulin check or to get labs to test for illnesses, infections, that type of thing. Of course, we're breaking the skin when we do surgery and then when there's a trauma. So whether that's a car accident with lacerations or anything along that line. So really, when we're breaking that skin, that barrier where there's already germs, we're really opening up a pathway for it to spread into the body. Like I said, there's all kinds of germs that live on the skin. This is just a few of them. Staphylococcus, that includes the MRSA or MRSA, streptococcus. And then something that's a big emerging topic is the Candida or Candida auris. There's a lot of talk about this going around, new education coming out, because it is emerging and becoming a threat across the United States. Many of our healthcare tasks involve the skin. We're touching everything all day throughout our work. So really anything that involves touch, as I mentioned before, needle sticks, maybe that's giving an injection, like I said, drawing blood, inserting an IV, those type of things that really involve touching the skin to be able to insert that needle, that type of thing. And then those surgical procedures are another area where we're touching a lot of the patient's skin and potentially exposing them to germs that are external of the body that can ultimately be introduced internally. So infection control actions to reduce the risk. As I mentioned before, hand hygiene, that is huge. We talk about it. We talk about it over and over again, feel like we educate on this till we can't educate anymore. But as we find as we travel around the state of South Dakota, hand hygiene is a topic that needs to be discussed and educated on all the time, when it's appropriate, when not to forget to do it, when to switch from alcohol-based hand sanitizers to washing your hands. All of those things are highly important to educate on and share that knowledge throughout healthcare facilities. Appropriate glove use is huge. Anytime you're doing actions where you're touching a patient.
I don't mean to interrupt, but your slides aren't showing.
Oh no. Let's try it again. Have you seen any of them? Can you see them now?
Nope.
Huh. You guys have been just listening to me talk for the last 10 minutes.
We have been. It just dawned on me that there should be slides.
There should be. Thanks for jumping in. I will let me re-present and see if they'll come up. It says I'm presenting. Well, I'm almost done talking about them, so we'll just, what I'm going to do is I'll just hit on that last point on infection control risk or infection control actions to reduce the risk, injection safety, which I already just talked about, and then that cleaning and disinfection is a huge one to reduce the risk in healthcare. So with that being said, sorry about that. We got a new setup for Zoom, and evidently that's the issue with this today. What I am going to do is I'm going to put our website into chat. So if you want to go to our website where there are these resources available, you can do that and view the resources that I talked about. And then we will put these PowerPoint slides also up on our Office Hours website. You can listen to the recordings and view the Office Hours PowerPoints there if you're interested in those, or if you'd like to share them out throughout your facilities. What we're going to do now, what we do in our office hours, is really open it up for any comments, questions, thoughts that you would like to share. Does anybody want to ask questions or have any comments about germs that live on the skin?
Hey, Jess, it's Sherry. Can you hear me?
We can. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, so when I think of germs on the skin, I really think of MRSA, thinking about summer coming on and how important it is to make sure our basketball players and our soccer players and our tennis players, everybody that's out there being active, which we want them to be, that they cover if they get scrapes and wounds, and that, if they're sharing equipment like balls and bats and gloves and helmets and all of those things, knee pads, that those get cleaned and disinfected. If you scrape your knee, you need to cover that because MRSA can really spread, and MRSA is very difficult or can be very difficult to treat. That's why it's called methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, meaning it is resistant to a lot of antibiotics. So, just some actions that I think of that are really important in preventing the spread of that is not to use towels, not to share towels, not to use or share personal items like razors. Those are really important not to do. To protect yourself. So those are what I think of when I think of germs on the skin.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Sherry. Anybody else on the call have any questions?
Jess, I was just wondering if you have any upcoming events coming up.
We do have one event that is open to anybody in healthcare to attend that we will be doing some education and training at. The Avera Infection Control Day of Learning is coming up in July, where we will be presenting and sharing some education ideas and topics for healthcare workers to take back to their facilities. Of course, we do travel around the state and offer all kinds of training opportunities besides what's on our website. If you contact us, we can assist you in getting a training at your facility. This can be for one department, such as your EVS department or your CNAs, or we can provide that training for the whole general staff and provide an overview of things like cleaning and disinfection and what's appropriate, things to look out for, those type of things. The other thing that is new to us and that we're offering is if you have your monthly meetings with your staff and you want to have some infection control education, we can just through a Zoom link come into your meeting, you open up the Zoom, and we'll provide education for 5 to 10 minutes on a different infection control topic each month. So just really an opportunity to get somebody else in talking to the staff in the facility to share infection control stuff. Sometimes that outside person talking to staff that maybe you've said the same thing to, but they listen to that outside person. So those are just some opportunities coming up, or that you can reach out to us for if you're looking for some education.
Thank you,
Any
Jess.
other? Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions? All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us today, and have a great Nurses Week and Healthcare Week and Long-Term Care Week. So lots of good things happening in May. Thanks for joining, everyone.